I just want to be clear. I am not being hyperbolic or overstating my case. I mean everything I'm saying right now, and I will defend every point of this. What Bill de Blasio is announced that he's setting up is an apartheid state in New York City, the biggest city in the United States of America.
Speaking of garbled messaging, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio today announcing the city will be requiring vaccination proof for indoor restaurants, gyms, and shows. Broadway. Watch.
The key to NYC Pass will be a first-in-the-nation approach. It will require vaccination for workers and customers in indoor dining, in indoor fitness facilities, indoor entertainment facilities. This is going to be a requirement. The only way to patronize these establishments indoors will be if you're vaccinated, at least one dose. If you want to participate in our society fully, you got to get vaccinated.
Yeah, what about kids under 12? He didn't have an answer for that. He doesn't know. These rules are a lot like the mandates in France, where protests rocked the streets of Paris this weekend. They love protesting there. Oh, protesters in France say the vaccine health pass is trampling all over their civil liberties. So is New York City and our freedom at stake. The party panel is back. Chris, Dave, and Marie. Dave, I will start with you. My problem with this is only a starting point. This is not the end of the conversation about passports and proof and what the government will require of you to associate freely.
Yeah, this is the most troubling and authoritarian move since legit lockdowns, and maybe even more so than that. And I just want to be clear. I am not being hyperbolic or overstating my case. I mean everything I'm saying right now, and I will defend every point of this. What Bill de Blasio is announced that he's setting up is an apartheid state in New York City, the biggest city in the United States of America. This is a legit caste system. He just said you cannot fully participate in society if you are not vaccinated, a personal medical decision, and you now lose your basic fundamental human freedoms because he doesn't like the decision that you made. I will say this. If you believe that you ought to lose your basic liberties because that your basic liberties are predicated on the consumption of a product from a giant pharmaceutical company, you are a fascist. And I mean that to everyone on the panel, everyone listening at home. If you believe that someone does not deserve basic liberties unless they consume a product. No, actually, I do.
What is fascism?
Why don't you define it for me?
Yeah, what is fascism?
Define it.
No, we're not going to get into a definitional war here.
Hold on. You just told me I don't know what fascism means. Define it.
Which means you do know what it is.
Excuse me.
So define
it is not a fundamental human right to be able to go to Madison Square Garden. Please, please spare me. You know what? I want my freedom. I want my freedom to go to a restaurant and not be worried I'm going to get sick. There are a number of places you can't get certain jobs. You can't go to certain schools without getting certain vaccinations. And you know what? You can't go to certain restaurants in New York without doing that either. It is a public health imperative. This is not authoritarianism. This is not fascism. This isn't any of those scary words you're throwing out. This is to make people healthier and to get them to take the vaccine.
You know what would make people healthier? You know what would make people healthier? If we weighed them, checked their BMI, checked their blood pressure, and made sure they weren't eating too many simple carbohydrates. That would save more people. Yeah.
Since I don't know what fascism is, can you tell me how Mussolini defined it?
Mussolini would have approved of the.
Did you support Donald Trump?
He defined it as a merger.
I'm curious.
He defined it as a merger between corporation and state. These are not businesses deciding that they don't want customers in. This is the government telling businesses that they have no choice.
Yeah.
This is discrimination under the law. And it's interesting that these so-called progressives don't care that this is going to disproportionately affect minorities and immigrants. Oh, all of a sudden, that's not an issue, right? Having to show ID for voting, that's fascism, right? But this isn't a problem.
I want to bring Chris in. We've got 30 seconds.
I don't know what fascism is.
Yeah, hey, look. At the end of the day, Dave is absolutely spot on. Like Orange Man on Twitter, that's fascism. Actually setting up an apartheid state, that's cool. Whatever. I'm down for that.
I agree with it, so I'm fine with it.
You have no idea what apartheid is.
Hey, Bree, let me finish here. Marie, by the way, we've got industries like the fitness industry that are barely holding on in this country. And what Mayor de Blasio doing today is not only telling people like, hey, there's a bunch of people who can't go and actually work out and help prevent themselves from getting things like COVID, but also telling people it's not currently safe. You are talking about putting a death sentence for tons of industries in this country, not just the fitness industry, restaurants, bars, tons of industries.
It's innumerable. I said this to my prom date. I wish we could go all night, but we can't. I gotta wrap this up. I love you all. Thank you, Chris, Dave, and Marie. We will continue this discussion because it's good, just not tonight. All right, let us not forget. Well, I said this to my prom date. I wish we could go all night. Well, I said this to my prom date. I wish we could go all night. Well, I said this to my prom date. I wish we could go all night. Well, I said this to my prom date. I wish we could go all night. Well, I said this to my prom date. I wish we could go all night. Well, I said this to my prom date. I wish we could go all night.